Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
Without a Santa Claus. Are you recording?
That's an outtake. There we go. Fixing my mic.
I am infuriated right now.
I'm not feeling up to snuff today.
Why not? What's wrong?
I don't know. Yesterday I was feeling up to snuff. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either.
To look that up.
Welcome to Friday, everyone.
Wait,
What?
do we have a plan for what we're talking about today?
This is the blend. We don't need a
the
plan.
Blend.
Why do you have a look of panic across your face?
Where's the calendar? Okay.
I'm holding in the calendar.
Okay.
Are you all right? Is there something you need to talk about?
I hate that feeling of being unprepared. Biography.
Are you sure you're recording?
An autobiography, I should say.
Or are you sure the mics are good this time?
I think they are. It's moving.
Alrighty.
The lines are moving.
Only
That's
one way
sign.
to find out, and that's to record the entire podcast
Right.
and then realize afterwards
Spend
that it
half
didn't
an
work.
hour or more doing this. 20 minutes.
Let us
25.
begin with this week in in history. Okay, so
Na, 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 na. Nah, nah.
that's not
I
correct.
keep thinking we should be humming that when it
should be
starts.
humming what?
Our theme song.
What are you ever talking about when you say that?
The theme song that Eric sings at the beginning of our podcast.
Welcome to
Yes,
our world.
we should do that.
We should sing it again
little
after they've just
sing-along.
heard it.
No, but it should be in our heads.
All right.
The problem
so
is we never actually hear it until you add
I know
it
that's
in the
true.
beginning.
That's
so
true.
That's what I
So
mean.
it's very jarring.
Yeah, it is.
Just getting right into.
Let's get into it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into. Jeez. Okay. This week in history, we obviously have to mention it is the birth week of the famous Nepo baby, Nicolas Cage. God love him. Hope he had a great day.
He's a true national treasure.
Oh! How long were you waiting to use that?
Just like 2 seconds. I just thought of it.
Man. Anyway, also this week in history, in 1957, Jackie Robinson announced his retirement. Oh.
Had to happen eventually.
Have you seen the movie, I think it's just called 42, about his life? Maybe it's not about his life. I don't actually know. I think it's a biopic. I don't know. Chadwick Boseman plays him.
No, I don't think. I'm trying to think if I've seen it, and I just can't remember that I've seen it.
We should. I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah.
And we should watch it. It's not. I almost said older. It's not older. It's like obviously.
Right.
Whatever. Whenever it's from, but I've heard good things.
Well,
we should watch
everything's
it.
relative. It's older based on your time frame,
Ooh.
based on mine. It's a very recent film.
It's a very recent film. This is a good one.
Okay.
This week, 1994, figure skater Nancy Kerrigan is attacked.
I never liked her.
You didn't?
No.
Wait, maybe. Okay, I'm just going to read part of it because this one's kind of long. I'm going to read part of this. On January 6, 1994, figure skater Nancy Kerrigan was attacked after a practice session at Cobo Arena in Detroit, one day before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships and 1 month before the Winter Olympics in Norway, for which Kerrigan was a gold medal favorite. As Kerrigan was leaving the ice, an unidentified man struck her on the right knee with a collapsible metal baton. After her assailant made his escape, Kerrigan's father lifted and carried her, sobbing, to the locker room. She was taken to the hospital for x-rays and released with a cut, bruises, and swelling. A police investigation led to Jeff, how do you say this name? Galooly? The former husband of Kerrigan's biggest rival, Tanya Harding. Yeah. Galooly eventually took a plea bargain, and Harding pleaded guilty in March 1994 to conspiring to hinder prosecution of the case. Put on 3 years probation, she was fined $160,000 in order to perform 500 hours of community service. She was later stripped of her 1994 U.S. Figure Skating Championship title and barred for life from amateur skating competitions in the United States.
How horrible.
Here's what I got from this. We need to have a whole conversation about community service.
Right.
We could talk about this in another episode.
It'd be interesting, and I don't know how much you'd be able to find, but it'd be really interesting in these cases where someone had to do community service to look up the details of what they actually did.
I mean, most times, well, I'm not going to say most times. Obviously, what I know is from shows and movies and stuff, and maybe just things you hear about, and like people that you see on the side of the road, just like picking up garbage and stuff like that.
Well, it
like
could
I've
be that.
actually
It
seen
could
a ton
be.
of
It could be
that.
working at a. It could be a lot of different things.
I know.
Are considered community service.
But I think we should have a whole other conversation about this, because I feel like I'm realizing right now that I have a lot to say about that particular subject. Yeah. But so going back to Nancy Kerrigan, you didn't like her? Obviously, I wasn't even born yet, so I don't even know.
No, because the funny thing is when there were competitions, and it's not like I was a big figure skating fan, but during the Olympics,
you're a man.
During the Olympics or during the, say, U.S. Nationals, if it was on and I watched it, I would actually root for Tonya Harding to win. Yeah. I liked her better. Like this didn't, obviously after that happened, I didn't feel that way. You liked her even better.
Oh, never mind.
No, I didn't. I thought, they're taking matters into your own hands. Right. That's what we like to see. Actually, she didn't. She had someone else do it. She should have done it herself.
You believe in vigilante justice, so I think.
Well, here's the thing. So after this happened, I didn't like Tonya Harding then. Found out that, she was kind of like, honestly, she reminds you of like a trailer trash kind of person.
Oh,
I'm just saying. But hold on.
Not very nice.
But I did not like Nancy Kerrigan. Still, I felt bad for her.
There's also...
Do you know the clip? Did you ever see the clip of right when it happened?
No, I've never seen...
I have to bring it up.
I knew about it, but...
I could do an impression of it, but I'm not going to.
Let's not do that. Okay. There's also the movie, what is it called? I, Tonya?
What's it called?
I, Tonya, I think it's called, which is also like maybe last 5 or 6 years, something like that, about, I'm assuming, the whole incident. Maybe not the whole incident. I don't really know.
But was
I know
that
it's
something...
with Tonya Harding.
I know. Was that something, though, that she made money off of? Maybe?
I don't remember, but we should watch that too. Moving on.
I want to at least look up the information on it, but yeah, go ahead.
1927, Harlem Globetrotters play their first game.
Wow, that's hard to believe that it's that long ago.
They're almost at their 100-year anniversary. That's super exciting.
Man,
how do you feel
old.
about the Harlem Globetrotters?
I think they're cool. I think they're obviously they're funny. They're cool.
I think from what obviously I've never actually seen them live. I've only seen clips and stuff online. Yeah. But from what I've gathered from the masses, they're very divisive. People either love them and think, like they're cool, they're funny, whatever, or they're like, this is the stupidest thing, and you guys are ruining a good sport that has a good audience already and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think basically now it's called the NBA. I mean, literally, it's all showboating and stuff now. So it's not even...
They just had... Who was just talking about this? Because the ratings for the NBA, I guess, last year were down.
Good.
And... No, but they were trying to justify... I don't even remember what the justification was. But then a bunch of people were commenting and responding saying, yeah, because all you do... Like, the number of threes in a game, like attempted 3-point shots per game, has gone up, like, by a crazy amount over the past few years. So people are saying that that's the reason. But then like NBA execs are saying, no, it's just because we're on different streaming platforms or something. I don't remember what it is. Anyway,
I think it might be because they don't play defense.
Maybe. Moving on. 2011, Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords is injured in shooting rampage.
I remember that.
I'm not reading all of that. I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Next.
That was one of those, random...
1493. Christopher Columbus mistakes manatees for mermaids.
I remember that too.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
No, that's kind of, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to, what?
So it was, it knows that this was the week when that happened.
Day,
I guess,
it's a big moment.
I guess, obviously, he probably had some in his notes or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's the point. He was sailing near the Dominican Republic, and he thought he saw 3 mermaids, in reality manatees, and in his log commented that they were not as beautiful as he had seen them portrayed, which is actually really funny. Then at the end, it clarifies that manatees are slow-moving aquatic mammals with human-like eyes, bulbous faces, and paddle-like tails.
At least if they had been womanatees, it wouldn't have been as bad.
Next, 1946, United Nations holds its first meeting. That's exciting. And 1977, Song of Solomon wins National Book Critics Circle Award. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what the
I've
award
heard
is
of
if
it.
you don't know what the book is?
No, I don't. I have not read the book. I don't know.
Okay.
I've heard of it. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm waving my arm like this to demonstrate.
Yeah.
We are now moving on to
Listener feedback. Yeah.
I paused there for Dylan's listener feedback. You know what's so funny is obviously every time I do that, I pause for an unnecessarily long time since I literally just split it right when I stopped talking.
Exactly. It's very awkward. It breaks the continuity that we normally don't have anyway.
No. I also did not come prepared for this. Please hold. Okay, here we go.
Listener feedback.
We are, it's fine. We are here for listener feedback. Someone commented and said, oh, actually, I'm going to go with the most recent one, which the ethical dilemmas. We already have some feedback from that. One person said that they would for sure save all 5 people. So we have a lot of utilitarians so far, it seems. Then another person pointed out they felt things like this were meant to show that people, which I think this is like a pretty negative point of view, that people are inherently evil. And if you warp the scenario enough, they will always choose the bad option, the quote unquote bad option, even though I don't think there is a bad option in these, because I think it's all subjective and it's all whatever.
So in that case, would the example be of the quote unquote bad option be choosing the one person over the 5?
See, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
No, people don't agree with that. Because we discussed in the episode, there's not.
But if you knew the 5 people and you didn't like them,
anyway, we're
but
not
you
going to
liked
get into
the
this
one,
specifically again.
that would warp it. Okay.
Someone commented, and I am vindicated. I have to give you credit, Samantha. I used the stainless steel trick on our fridge, and it worked way better than how I'd usually try to clean it.
Very nice.
Good job, me. Okay,
that was a win.
This is what happens when you read directions.
Yep.
So also from this, because remember that day we also talked about like dishwasher directions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone commented, dishwashers are disgusting and you're never going to convince me that they're not. How many times do you pull stuff out of the dishwasher and there is still food attached to various items? Yet never does it happen that I hand wash a peanut butter spoon and there's still peanut butter left on it afterward. When you watch videos of dishwashers in action, it's a wonder that they're able to clean anything at all. It's just a few hoses spinning around with soap and hot water. I'm better than that.
Well, I think
one.
modern dishwashers are much better than dishwashers of old.
Yes.
Okay. The dishwasher that we currently have, the Bosch dishwasher that we currently have, by the way,
we are sponsored.
This podcast has been is brought to you by Bosch dishwashers.
That would be so nice.
Okay, if the dishwasher's loaded correctly, it's very rare that we pull something out and it has food on it. It works really well.
I think the main argument, go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing sometimes people don't understand that water cannot pass through solid objects to reach another object directly behind it. So you can't put 2 plates in.
You have to properly load the dishwasher.
No space between them, right.
But I think the thing is, and we talked about this in that episode, that you save water using the dishwasher versus hand washing all of your items. So if that's something you care about, then the dishwasher should.
Well, hopefully when people take things out of the dishwasher, they check it. They don't do it with their eyes closed, right? Like I check everything. Every piece of silverware, I turn it around before I put it away.
Yeah. Next.
Every plate.
Someone responded to that. I used to feel the same way about dishwashers, but we have one in my new apartment and I've been using it and it's amazing. On top of what you said, I hate when dishes come out of the dishwasher and sometimes smell like wet dog, but I don't have that issue with mine. It took me a while to get over my disgust for dishwashers. That's such a funny thing to say. But then I realized that practically everywhere you go, they use a dishwasher, so I might as well use one too, and my life is better for it, lol. But I'll clean the peanut butter spoon and other oily, sticky things by hand and then let the dishwasher finish the job. I feel like the heat sterilizes it in there too. Now that I think about it, pretty much everything I put in the dishwasher is clean looking when I put them in. Maybe I just use it as a sterilizing drying rack, lol. I think, though, it was a really good point that because obviously I've worked in a ton of restaurants and you're not washing dishes by hand in there. So if you go out to eat and dishwashers disgust you, if you go out to eat, you're using the items from a dishwasher anyway. So how do you actually feel that strongly about dishwashers if you go out to restaurants? Obviously not, you know?
We wash them.
Anyway.
Take your own dishes with you.
Someone else replied, yeah, I hate the wet dog smell too. So true, but yeah, who knows? Maybe they're finally better and actually work now. And I agree, everywhere else uses them, but obviously this person eats at the house like 95% of the time. Very good conversation about dishwashers there.
Oh, what's our preferred platform for comments?
You tried to get me to talk about this all the time.
I just have to make it clear so we know what our preferred.
Okay, as I've said, I think Apple Podcasts is not a good place because it doesn't really allow just for comments. To leave a quote unquote comment, you have to leave a review. Like so you would have to review every episode, and that is your comment. And so, I mean, you could do that and just give us 5 stars, that would be fine too.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of conversation that happens on Apple Podcasts. So if you're looking for to be part of the conversation, I would recommend Spotify or YouTube.
Yeah. And if someone would leave a comment on Apple Podcasts by leaving a review, we only read the ones that have 5 stars.
Yes.
So that probably would be your best bet.
And that's a lie.
Okay.
Also, though, I don't know why I didn't think of this already. I'm just going to start linking in the show notes all of the separate things. People said they couldn't find our YouTube channel or whatever. I'm just going to link it in the show notes so that you can go right there after you listen to this if you're listening on Apple Podcasts.
Good idea.
And just leave a comment on YouTube. I think that would be the best.
Yes, please do that.
Solution. Oh, here. Okay, this is the last listener feedback we will do today. This is about when what were we talking about? Driving or something? And I don't remember. I just remember you saying if the law, because we were talking about the pardons and pardoning people after laws have been changed and are no longer illegal and all that.
Right.
This person said, bold take at the end by saying that any law should be followed. You may have felt differently in Nazi Germany or communist Russia. On one hand, we have to trust the system and trust in the good intentions of people making the laws. And on the other hand, I don't trust that at all. As I always say, it's not about agreeing with the current laws or leaders. It's about whether or not you're comfortable with them holding so much power over us. Because someday you may not like what they choose to do with that power, even if you like what they're doing with it right now.
Okay. So just to clarify, since that was right at the end, if it's a moral issue, right, that's different.
Yes.
Okay. Like if there's a law that's passed that said, I have to go work at a concentration camp and incinerate people, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
And despite what the way some people think, I don't think that's going to happen in this country anytime soon. Okay.
Yeah.
But even if I were in Nazi Germany, if there was a law that said no left turn, and I thought, well, this is stupid. There should be left turn allowed onto this road. Okay. I deserve to be arrested or to be fined or whatever. So my point is your default position should be to follow the law. Cause I think otherwise it's real easy to become extremely arrogant and think that you know better. For instance, to think that the insurance companies are evil. So I'm going to go assassinate the CEO of some insurance company.
Anyway,
right? I'm just saying it's you can get to that point.
I think a lot of are you making a distinction between moral and because I think a lot of the examples of laws that we think should be followed all the time are just for general safety. It's not like they're trying to control us or anything. It's literally just like if I, like the example you gave, if I make the left turn when I'm not supposed to, I'm putting myself at risk. I'm putting the people around me at risk. It's just a dangerous situation. It's not, the government doesn't get anything if I break this law and we all die right now. So it's just more of the safety things should always be followed and things that are, things that don't, because I think probably the issue comes with, you could say like marijuana is not bad for you or whatever, because then I was thinking, well, what about safety on an individual level and all that stuff? So then that's not really a moral thing either. It's just kind of like there are a lot of things that are just this gray zone where you're not really hurting anybody else if you do this. And in some cases, you're not even hurting yourself. It's just things that are illegal. And, the people that are doing it don't understand why it's illegal. And the people that don't do it are like, well, it's illegal. Who cares? So just don't do it. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's not actually hurt. You know what I mean?
I know. My point is everyone doesn't set their own laws, right?
Yeah.
So in a case like that, actually, that's a good example. In a case like that, it's illegal. Like to me, that's all you need to know, right? Otherwise, yeah, you just do whatever you want and you just decide
Yeah,
what you
but
think makes sense.
but
And
I
that's not
think
where I want to be.
that's not where I want to be either. But I also think I think it's healthy to have like this questioning and criticism of things that you don't understand, like the laws that just don't make any sense to a lot of people.
Right.
I think it's kind of the same way that, I mean, this is the only way I can really think to relate the two, but like in Catholicism and like Christianity, obviously that's how we were raised, and I think it's healthy to have, what's the right word? Like not
Skepticism?
distrust, yeah, like skepticism of what you're reading and of what you're
Right.
hearing, and not just blindly listening and just being like, yep, this is all 100%.
No, but I'm not saying blindly as in, well, they must know better than me. But I'm saying, like, in order to maintain an orderly society, you have to you have to have laws that everyone agrees to follow. It's like a societal thing. Like prohibition, right? Now, prohibition has not existed for how many years? Like a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
More people die in auto accidents and I think drunk driving and all that. And if you take all the medical issues caused by, people drinking too much, it makes a clear argument that you could say, well, this should be illegal, right? People have decided that it's going to be legal. So I mean, if I think, well, that's stupid, I don't drink, why do people need to do this? I'm not going to go around and start like just enforcing my law,
No, but it's kind of the opposite.
I know, but
opposite.
at the point is when prohibition was in place, I just feel like if something's illegal and then all of a sudden, like with the marijuana thing, in certain states anyway, they make it legal even for recreational use. That does not all of a sudden absolve everyone that broke the law prior to that, and it shouldn't. You can't just eliminate the consequences for something that you've done.
But then I think it's also like, and my initial reaction is I agree with you. It's the law, and you broke the law and suffer the consequences. But on the other hand, I also feel like, okay, but if you broke the law, you're suffering the consequences. But then as a society, we've all come to an agreement, even not all of us, but the majority or whatever, however you want to say it, have come to an agreement that this is in fact not something that should be punishable by law. Then why should you still have to suffer, even though as a society, we've all agreed that this is no longer a thing?
I guess my thing is then you just make your own laws and you
I
hope
don't think
that's at some point in the future. You hope that at some point in the future, everyone comes around to your way of thinking.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true either. I don't think that has to be like, I think anyway, we're talking about this too long. This is an interesting subject for sure.
It is.
A lot of beliefs about this. Anyway, we are now moving on. We're about to air our grievances.
If you have grievances, and I'm sure you have.
Do you have any?
What we just talked about is one. Seriously? No, actually, I'll give you a big one, which is not directly related to that. We talked about pardons before, but I don't think we talked about all the pardons took people off death row.
Well, you had mentioned those.
Well, I forget how many. It was a lot of people that were on federal death row. There are only 3 remaining there now. Okay. And there's no...
After the pardons, you mean?
Yes. And there was, maybe it's 30 some that were taken off, or at least 27 or something like that, right? 20 some, 30 some. If you say that you just believe the death penalty is wrong and we have no right to kill anyone, then they should have all been pardoned. But they weren't. And I can't remember. The guy that I think shot up a synagogue, he wasn't pardoned. The guy that shot up a bunch of people at a black church, I think, was not pardoned. The Boston Marathon shooter.
Bomber,
he wasn't pardoned, okay? So I feel like, so the other ones, I mean, you have people that killed entire families. You have the one guy that I think kidnapped 2 sisters, raped and killed them, like kids. Yeah, so my point is, it's not a grievance. I'm literally infuriated about that. I am literally infuriated
I just saw... This morning while I was reading my emails, I think it said 2 of the people, they weren't death row or anything, that Biden just commuted their sentences. They said no, they don't want their sentences commuted because that will affect the plea deal that they're trying to make or something. So they were literally like, no, we don't want our sentence commuted. And I don't know how
And
that
can
works.
they do that?
I
Can
don't
they
know.
do
I didn't
that?
actually read the thing, but I saw that. Okay.
I feel so bad for the victims. I feel so bad and
So
I'm
do
not talking
I.
about the victims, like, because a lot of the victims, for the most part, they're gone. But their families are probably so frustrated.
I think, well, yeah, talking about that because it's like you feel justice has been served in the moment, right? Like when they're sentenced or whatever. And then this happens and it's like reopening old wounds and feels very
and
unfinished
you can get the question of, is the death penalty a deterrent or not? You could talk about that whole thing, but like I said, the thing that makes it worse is the fact that there are 3 who somehow were not pardoned.
So on to lighter grievances.
Lighter
since
fare?
This is a lot. Let's move on to everybody's favorite grievance. Grammar. All right.
Oh no.
So the first one we will do is,
Well, have a good weekend, folks.
the first one we will do is between versus amongst. When should you use either? Go ahead, Jim.
I'm going to say amongst is like a group of people. If it's something to do with a group of people. No, it doesn't have to be people.
Specifically?
No, it doesn't have to be a people.
I feel like my facial expressions give me
I think
away
you have to give me
talking.
some examples and ask me which one is correct. How about that?
She had to decide between 4 options, or she had to decide amongst 4 options.
I think it's between there.
You're incorrect. So here I will, because you
That's
talked a lot
just
about
weird.
part. I know, but as with a lot of grammatical things, it only sounds weird because you've all said it incorrectly for so long.
Between is 2.
Between is 2.
Okay.
Because you think if I'm between something,
Okay.
I'm in the middle of it. Whatever. Anyway, if I'm between something, I'm between 2 things. And
between
2,
or betweenst?
No, betwixt. And I'm between 2 items. It doesn't have to be, it could be whatever. People, it could be something abstract, whatever it is. 2 things. Amongst 3 or more. And I'm telling you right now, you are going to notice this stuff. Those of you that listen to the grammar section and don't shut it off, those of you that are still with us right now and that actually care or try really hard to. I say with a single tear.
I picture you in your car. Let's be like, yes, and you the only one.
Okay,
I nailed that one.
I'm trying to make the people smarter. Okay. So you'll notice this though. Everywhere they write this incorrectly, and it's one of those things that they write incorrectly just because people say it wrong. And so it's like, and so this kind of goes back to the law.
Did they say it wrong
thing.
or say it incorrectly?
Anyway, so amongst is 3 or more. So if you're talking about 3 or more things, it would be amongst.
Okay. When is it among versus amongst?
Oh, well, that's a whole thing. Among, you're right. I should have said this as among because that's an American thing. No, not that I'm incorrect, but amongst is more of like a British version of it, and among is a more American, but both are correct. Right. They're interchangeable.
But the American one is more correct.
Anyway, the very last one that we're going to talk about, another grammar thing, but I know that you support this one, so good. You can talk about it. Can you tell us the difference between verse and verses?
A verse is a section of a song or a poem. Okay. Verses is if you say it was the Eagles versus the Giants, and then you say who won. Mm-hmm. In other words, it drives me crazy when I hear, and I never, just for the record, I grew up outside of Philly. Mm-hmm. I never remember hearing someone say us versus them, or the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. It gets under my skin so much, almost as much as the pardons, which we spoke about earlier, but not that much. But no, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. And,
so if you're talking about a competition between 2 teams,
yes,
you should
or
be
if it's a
verses.
tournament amongst numerous teams.
Exactly. It should be verses. Verse, the word verse is literally just used for music and poetry and writing.
So if it's between 2 teams, it's verses. If it's a tournament,
I know what you're doing
it's
right
versuses.
Goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Hope you have a great weekend.
Well, they won't now.
Stop.
We've ruined the weekend.
No, we have not.
We have ruined it.
No.
We have now people have grammar in there. They don't want to think about grammar going in
they
the weekend.
do. I can't think of a
No.
better way.
Wait, we don't have any outtakes.
Yes, we do. In the very beginning of you coughing for 12 minutes.
Wait, do we have outtakes?
I
from
hope
other
you all
things?
enjoy.
My tooth hurts. I think I have to floss more.
This is not. I was trying to do the outtake music, but that doesn't really sound like it anymore. What am I
It's
humming?
very upbeat. I can't remember how it goes. Very upbeat.
I think in the beginning I had it and then I lost it. We don't need more outtakes. Can you
Darn it.
stop?
Our whole podcast is outtakes.
I know.
That's what
Story and autobiography.
That's what we should call our podcast.
Outtakes.
Yep. Should we do a new podcast?
And call it Outtakes.
Yes.
I wonder if you could just change the name of your podcast.
Can you do that?
I don't know.
Can we do that?
I'm hungry.
Goodbye.